Mimosas with Michael. Mimosas with Michael. Mimosas with Michael. Yay!
Hey everybody, it's Michael Colomb here with Mimosas with Michael, and I'm actually in a different background today because I've been sitting in my room and it was that dull orange wall and that bright window, so I thought at least this is much prettier. So we're shaking it up a bit today. And then today I'm joined by the special guest, Camden Toy. How are you, sir?
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing really good, just sitting out here on my back porch doing a little podcast. I can hear my neighbors talking next door.
It looks lovely.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Like I was telling you, I wanted to, you and I are the same manager and I don't really know a lot of his clients. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to, introduce everybody and also for you and I to meet and talk. And I did a little bit of research on you, so I'm very familiar, but I also thought we'll make this a little organic and you can just, tell me about who Camden Toy is.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. So first you're an actor, right?
Correct. Yeah. Well, I'm a film actor and also stage and theater. But I also was a film editor for a number of years, fresh out of high school. And then I also did some editing 20 years ago or so.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've done a little bit of screenwriting, but not a huge amount, a little bit.
Yeah. Nice. Good. Yeah, that's kind of where my genre is sort of screenwriting and then moving into directing. But I don't know if you know, but I started off as a script supervisor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I walked off my job at the age of 30 because I was like, I don't want to do this crap anymore.
It's a lot of work. It's very tedious work. Yes.
Yeah. But I actually like it. It made me a better filmmaker. It made me a better writer, a better director. So I'm actually very grateful for that. It was just it's a difficult job, but as an editor, you understand how important it is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I do love that.
Yeah.
So I did notice on your thing, and I know that this is probably the question. I don't know if you get asked this a lot, but I want to talk a little bit about Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Sure.
Because it's such a cult show when it was first on after the movie, naturally, and then I think to this day people are just still sort of like it's one of Joss Whedon's best shows.
It's funny. I think it's actually in some ways more popular now than it's ever been. And I think that's because, each generation, it sounds like we're talking about the Slayer, right? The generations.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Kind of funny. But each generation kind of passes it on to the next generation. The mothers and the grandmothers and the grandfathers and the fathers and the friends pass it on to their next generation. And I think the younger generation at first goes, this sounds goofy. I don't know, and then they are exposed to it and they love it, and it's, I'm amazed when I still do conventions occasionally, and I'm amazed that sometimes I'll be sitting at my table and 3, sometimes 4 generations of women will be standing in front of me going, we love your work.
Really? That's so
it's
awesome.
And it's not because of course they saw it when it was on television back, 20 years ago. It's because they were exposed to it by a friend or a family member.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, I remember watching. I loved the movie when it first came out. It was
fun. Very.
It might have been when I was in high school. But then, like the show came out, and it was just like, oh, it was kind of fun. But as campy as the movie was, I feel like the show was a little bit darker, a little more serious in some ways. But it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So, and then I'm just trying to think of really, I think. Nowadays we're dealing with this strange thing. So, I always write movies that are very like end of the world, global pandemic sort of thing. But now it's like we're actually living in a real life horror movie in a strange way.
Yeah.
So here in LA, we've been on this lockdown now, I guess lockdown, but shelter at home for about 6 weeks. I think we're going on our 7th week.
Right.
Of course, it's interesting because the rest of the world is like Florida was on lockdown for 2 weeks. So like, we're good. But we're actually, we still have like another 2 weeks to go, I think, before they even raise our But I remember the first week or so, I was just sitting there and I looked at my roommate and he goes, "This feels so surreal." Like
Right.
you're watching the news and it's just like it's spreading like wildfire, and people were like just dying like left and right, and they still are sadly. But like, how are you how are you adapting to it? I mean, and do you find that it's affected your career a little bit, or?
Well, it's definitely affected my career. I did have an audition the other day, which was nice. They, and they had me, self record
Good,
and
okay.
send it in, via EchoCast on Actors Access. So that was nice. I mean, the casting director was like, "Listen, I know that you're going to be recording this on whatever you have. Don't go out and spend a lot of money. Um, we're not expecting that. If you even want to do it on your iPhone, that's fine." I ended up
Yeah,
doing it on my girlfriend has a fairly good Canon camera, so that we did it on that. So
nice.
it actually ended up being okay. But I was really encouraged to see that the casting people were encouraging us to not make a big thing out of it.
Yeah. Well, it's like I think in this sort of day and age, it's like they're not going to record the show that way. But I mean, this is good enough quality, and I think like all my late night shows are doing it. The news is doing it. So I think just right now, this is the sort of world we live in, which is just
Right.
everybody's talking through a computer, or you can have Zoom and stuff on your phone. So it's very fascinating how in just a matter of like weeks, everybody said we had to adapt. We had no choice.
Right. Right.
And it's like I usually leave the house with a backpack and stuff, but I haven't been leaving the house. But I'll have to run errands, or I'll just want to walk around the neighborhood and just get some fresh air and sun. And so I ended up having to like order like a little sling bag, but just so I could carry my mask, some hand wipes, hand sanitizer, just because it's like you just never know. You want to be safe. And like
Right.
I never thought that I would have to like. First of all, I never thought I'd have to fight to find toilet paper, but to be able to like have to even such a strange necessity is like taking it for granted that like I just touched my face. I mean I just washed my hands before, but it's just I will like after every I just feel like every 5 minutes I'm like I should just wash my hands or grab some sort of sanitizer. Like it's just so interesting how we've adapted just even to that.
Right. Right.
So I do think it'll be interesting to see how the industry will have changed after we kind of come back into the fold.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Um, so what is one of your favorite roles that you've done then? Let's talk about that.
I would say I have two favorite roles actually. One is a theater role and one is a television role.
Oh, okay. I
Um,
love theater, so perfect.
yeah, my favorite theater role was I did a production of The Scarlet Letter, Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet
Hmm.
Letter,
Yes.
um, in New York with the Tiny Mythic Theater Company, which is a theater company there that does really cutting edge, wonderful work. And we developed it. There was, I think, 25 of us. Rachel True was in the cast. This was before she had really kind of her career had taken off.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
yeah, but we ended up spending several months in rehearsals, and most of the rehearsals were improvs. But we first actually read the book with the cast. The cast, this large cast, would sit around every night in a circle and go around the circle, taking turns reading the book.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah, it was pretty amazing. It was and I played the role of Chillingworth, who is sort of the heavy in the book.
Yeah.
And it was such a wonderful role. I almost didn't think I was going to get the role, and nobody else basically wanted the role. I was really kind of amazed because I thought for sure I'd be fighting for that role,
Yeah.
and I ended up getting that role and having a great time with it.
How long did the show run for?
It ran for a couple months.
Okay.
We
Nice.
were at the Ohio Theater, which is right across the street from the Worcester Group over on Worcester in Soho.
Nice. Okay. That's amazing.
Yeah, so that was an incredible role, and I just had a great time with it. And then my favorite television role is the role of Gnarl on the episode Same Time, Same Place for Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Oh,
uh,
awesome.
season 7. And he was literally the Hannibal Lecter of the demon world. And because of that, there was just so much so much richness in this character. Jane Espenson who wrote the episode.
Oh, I love Jane. She's a good friend of mine. She's wonderful.
Oh, isn't she wonderful?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a lovely, lovely woman, and a delicious, beautiful writer. Just amazing. So she wrote this character, and I remember when I got the sides for the audition. I had got them on a Friday. I had the whole weekend to play with it before I went in Monday. And I remember going through the script going, oh my God. It was
Dude,
so rich.
When it comes to character development, I think Jane she's so good at that. You know, she became one of the head writers for Once Upon a Time that was on the show.
Yes, absolutely.
I actually met her because she did this web series a few years ago called Husbands. And it was Did you ever see that? It was basically about
vaguely remember that.
Yeah, it was just a web series where these two guys just wake up in Vegas, like it was legal to be married as gay guys, and they wake up in Vegas getting married, and they're just like, the hell do we do now? So she was like one of the co-writers, and it was just a charming little web series that she did with this other guy. I want to say Brad Bell. I'm going with that. But like I was a script supervisor for the first season, and Jay and I just became friends, and so we every once in a while would we'll email each other back and forth. I set up a writing workshop for her once at the Rider store in Burbank before that closed down. So she's very lovely, and we've had drinks before. So I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad that you got to be in one of her episodes. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
she's great. She's fantastic.
She's great.
So, and then if you had to do any role, I mean, I know you've been acting for a long time, so you've probably done everything. But is there something you've never done before, like a specific role?
I've never done King Lear. I would love to do King Lear.
Okay, let's get on that, Matt. Matt, let's get him King Lear. Just kidding. Matt's probably gonna watch us and call me and go, Mike. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. You know, when I ask out of a lot of actors, they're always like, I want to play a villain. Like, just for some reason, actors love just because I think villains are so much more like.
Oh, they're fun to play. They're a lot of fun to play. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you think everybody wants to you think actors always want to be like a lead actor because, you know, but you look at somebody like Javier Bardem, who's just like so evil, and he plays several bad guys, and he's just so different and diverse every time he does it.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, why wouldn't you want to play the bad guy? It's the one time you could be mean without really being mean, I think.
Well, I think it was Mike Ironside that said, you know, the great thing about playing the villain is that, you know, you get to beat everybody up throughout the entire film or the entire episode, and you get beaten up only once at the end, while, you know, the hero is getting beaten up the entire time.
I never thought about that. That's actually very true. Yeah. Oh, that's actually a good way to look at it. And they always get their comeuppance, but it is true. I love writing really good bad guys. Yeah. And it's like, and that's what's interesting because like I write a lot of horror, and it's always like you always want to write those really cool deaths, you know, but and then the killer always gets like the coolest one at the end. Sometimes, you know. Sure. That's always fun. Yeah. I try to look, but have you ever done a horror movie? I don't know. I'm sorry, I didn't know, but I looked it up online. I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I did. Let's see. There's a couple of things I did with Joe Hollow. You know Joe?
Okay. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with his name.
Yeah, I did a couple horror films with Joe, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love horror.
He was definitely a horror writer and director.
Well, you know,
one was called Disciples, and the other one was called Blood Story.
Blood Story. I love that title.
Oh yeah.
well, barring on the side that like the evil person is fun to play, I love writing horror because I find it oddly cathartic. You know, it's like when I don't know, it's like you're having a bad day or things are frustrating, and you can just like get up in there, and it's just like, and if you're mad at somebody, who you can kind of write something that reminds you of them, and you can just choke them out. I guess it's some weird way. It's sort of like, but people always tell me like, oh, horror is just so weird. It's gross. I don't like it. And I said, true, but everybody I know who makes horror movies is very well adjusted, because I feel like
I don't know if you saw it. I also worked on the series Into the Dark that's on Hulu.
Yes.
Blumhouse is producing it.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that work on that show. Yeah.
Yeah, I did an episode called Uncanny Annie, which we shot late last year. It was a I play the character called the prankster, who is basically a poltergeist character.
Oh, okay, fun.
Yeah, yeah. So it's definitely horror. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, Blumhouse is kind of changing, I think, the horror industry in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I mean, because they have a great deal with Universal, which is great. So it gets to a wide audience, like with the relaunch of Halloween. But then, like, they do have this Hulu show where, you can be sitting at home and and I think that show is really geared towards a lot of the holidays, right? So there's like a Valentine's Day one.
They do a new episode every month, and
Yeah.
it's themed it's themed to that month.
Yeah.
Like the one I did was themed for Halloween, it was October.
Yeah.
They did one that was themed for Thanksgiving in November.
I remember that one, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it, but I remember seeing the previews for it. I guess it's like, middle class families having Thanksgiving dinner, and the pilgrims show up. Like
I have to watch the series. I film so much that sometimes I get behind on television.
Sure.
And then and I have such ADD, so it's like when the television's on, I just kind of lose focus. So if I want to get anything done, I never watch television until at night, and sometimes I hate watching horror at night because it kind of scares me, which is what I love about horror. Like, it still scares me even though I make it.
Yeah, I've been watching. Yeah, I know. I hear you. I've been watching Penny Dreadful lately.
Oh yeah. I saw the first season of that. It's so good. It gets better.
Yeah, and we're watching the first season right now, and I had forgotten how good it was. I think I saw the first episode a couple of years ago, and I had forgotten just how delicious and wonderful that series is, and it's so well written and so well acted. It's really good.
Do you have a favorite horror movie?
Yeah, my favorite horror movie is probably the first one that I saw as a kid. I was probably 10 or 8 or I don't know, really young when I first saw it. Was The Haunting.
Oh, The Haunting, yeah. Oh, that's the one with The Haunting. I know that one.
With Claire Bloom and Richard Johnson as the parapsychologist.
Yes.
It's black and white. It was
Yep.
Robert Wise directed it.
Yes.
There's basically no special effects. It's all just atmosphere and sound effects and it's just frightening.
I think that's sometimes that's more creepy.
I think so too. Yeah.
It's like sometimes it's the not knowing or the anticipation, then nothing happening sometimes, or then it happens when you least expect it. I think it's so much more. I mean, nothing against Blumhouse. I know Blumhouse is doing a lot better, but sometimes a lot of their movies I feel like sort of rely on jump scares, which I feel like work. But it's also the suspense leading up to it, which just really makes it scarier, in my opinion. So you really I think you have to focus on atmosphere and sound, and sometimes just having the production design. I filmed at some places where I just walked in and I was like, it's just lends itself. Like, in film, sometimes we abandon in like old buildings or, abandoned places. You just walk in, you're like, already I'm terrified and nothing's happened. It just has like this sort of atmospheric vibe.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So that's good. And then, what would be your favorite movie? We don't have to talk about horror specifically, but what would be one of your favorite movies?
Oh boy, that's
it's such a strange question. People ask that because you could have so many.
I'm a big fan of Once Upon a Time in the West, Sergio Leone. I think it's really Sergio Leone's best film. I think I think the film is almost 3 hours long, and I think maybe there's like 20 pages of dialogue. It is such an epic the way it's shot. Have you seen it?
No, I've never seen it.
Oh, I highly recommend it.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I think it's Leone's best film. I know he's best known for The Good, the Bad, the Ugly,
which is a great film.
Yeah, a great film. But I think there's something about. Well, I think one of the things, he was so smart in the casting. He cast Henry Fonda as probably the most cold-blooded killer you could imagine. And up until that point in Henry Fonda's career, he always played upstanding, nice guys. So you don't expect Henry Fonda to be this cold-blooded killer.
Yeah.
You just like, so the juxtaposition of that in your mind with the fact that he's playing this cold-blooded killer is just so shocking. And also, so often with those films, they often get sometimes I hate saying it, but often second-rate actors to play those roles. because they spend a lot of money on the leads already. And Henry Fonda is just an amazing actor. So to watch him play this character in a multi-layered way is just wonderful. It's really good.
And who's one of your favorite directors that you've worked with?
I love Paul Davis, who directed Uncanny Annie, is wonderful.
Okay.
James Contner, who directed the Gnarl episode, the Same Time, Same Place episode for Buffy, was quite good. I mean, those are two that really stand out for me.
And then would you say Sergio Leone is one of your favorite directors then? That you haven't worked with, just in general?
Yeah, no, I haven't. Unfortunately, I never got a chance to work with Sergio Leone, but
wouldn't that be cool?
But he was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure you probably get asked this a lot, but as someone, who's had this like long career and has done a lot, what advice would you give to people who are just starting the industry? And it could be either be filmmaker or actor, or, because I know you've been on both sides of the camera.
Yeah. I think, I do get this question asked by young upcoming actors will often say to me, hey, how do I go about picking my roles? And I'm always like, let me tell you how you do that. You get offered a role, you take it. And it's
amazing. There's no big secret. There's no big secret.
Yeah, there's no secret. Unless you're Jack Nicholson, you're not picking and choosing your roles. And of course, you don't take a role, let's say, that is against your moral fiber, for instance. Okay, obviously you're going to turn that down. But generally speaking, I mean, I can't remember what acting director said. I think what acting coach said to me years ago when some actor in the class was complaining about the scripts being bad, and he was like saying, these are better scripts than you will ever get in your career. Your job as an actor is to take a bad script and make it good. So stop complaining about the script.
That's actually really funny.
Yeah.
It's true. It's I've worked on plenty of movies that have bad scripts, but sometimes it's interesting. There's a lot you can do on set. There's a lot you can do in post that I've learned.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I've worked on movies where I'm like, we'll see. And I get to post. I'm like, okay, there's a movie here. I kind of like it. So.
Things can change in the editing room. There's no doubt about it. And also if you're committed to what you're doing. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think probably one of the things I would just say is like, look at it as a challenge. Like just because it's a bad script, like you can find those nuggets of goodness. I think I have to do it as a filmmaker. So I see it all the time. I've gotten things where I have to direct it. I'm like, okay, this is something different, but I can find those moments in there,
Right.
I think it's like that. So I like that advice. Thank you for sharing that. Anything coming up for you in the future that audience should know?
Right now, because of this, sheltering in place, things are really lean. So mostly right now I'm in graduate school for clinical psychology.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah. So
I love it.
That's pretty full time. I mean, I still occasionally will go off and work on a television show or a film. But that's what I'm really concentrating on right now. And partly because things are so slow right now.
I'm getting antsy. I mean, luckily I can walk around my neighborhood, and LA is transit enough with everybody in their cars. We don't take public transportation all the time.
Right,
so you can actually go places and not be around people, which is kind of nice. So I'll take like drives, or I'll go up to I went up to the poppies a couple weeks ago to look at the poppies, because at least there you can go on a little road and not be around anybody. And I've been studying for.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and I've been studying photography so I can take pictures and it kind of just be in my own world. So I'm happy about that. But I will be happy when I could just go to a restaurant or see a movie or, grab a drink with a friend.
Yeah, we just went up to Big Sur last weekend.
Oh, Big Sur is beautiful. I haven't been there.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And, most everything's closed right now. So it was a little difficult. But we would pull off to the side of the road and, take in the view and get back in the car. I mean, yeah, it was gorgeous.
There's kind of nowhere to go. You're not on any schedule. You just go and do it. That's a good idea.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been thinking about taking road trips like that just to sort of see the world right now. I know it's kind of hard because you can't stop anywhere to eat. Like that's one of the things I love about road trips is finding a nice little cafe or bar or someplace I've never been, and just kind of like, I do that a lot when I travel because I travel so much for when I film and for work. And I'll be like a new place where I've never been, and I'll just walk the street. And I'm like, oh, that place looks so like a little mom and pop, like brewery or a little restaurant. I'll just go in and like talk, and you can't do that now.
Sure.
I know. Soon we'll have that. So, what is one of the first things you would do then when the shelter in place gets lifted? Do you have
Oh,
any
good
goals?
Lord. Yeah, go eat in a restaurant.
It's funny how like you.
Go and like actually, go into a Starbucks as opposed to doing a drive-through.
The
I mean,
Starbucks in my house is close.
Yeah, we're fortunate. We have a Starbucks right down the street, so we can do a drive-through. But
Nice.
yeah, you can't go in anymore.
It's interesting how you take those kind of things for granted, which
Yeah.
I never did, but it's just so like I just want to go have lunch with a friend, or like sometimes be here. I'm like, now I have a good time. It's like a lovely evening. I'd love to just go have dinner. And one good thing about LA is a lot of our restaurants we can sit outside.
Sure.
So I'm just like, or go to the beach. Yeah. So weird. Anyways, we have to wrap it up. It does go pretty quickly, these 30 minutes. Anything else you want to tell about yourself, or people can find you?
You can find me on Facebook. I'm the only Camden Toy on Facebook, and
It's easy to find you then.
on Twitter it's Camden_Toy.
Okay.
So yeah, it's easy to find me, and I have my page on Facebook set to public, so anybody can view it. Anybody can
Okay.
can post on it. Yeah, I don't keep it private, so it's open to the fans.
Perfect. And I'll put it in the show notes as well, so people can find you.
Oh, great! Thank you. Thanks.
But you're not on Instagram. Just want to make sure.
No, I
Okay.
I find that I spend so much time already on Facebook and Twitter that I'm like, it was hard for me to justify going on to a third thing,
Well,
even though everybody seems to be on Instagram now.
Well, and now, especially during this pandemic, everybody's been like in the mood to just stay focused and sane. So everybody, like TikTok is blowing up now.
Yes,
And-
I hear that.
And I love TikTok, but I like Instagram because you can just post pictures and talk. But like, I'm not that clever. I guess I don't know. I can do little mini things. TikTok is just a lot. Because you have to edit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I already make enough movies that it just seems weird to be like with my phone already. So.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I hear you.
It was such a pleasure to really officially like meet you. I'm sorry we have to do it over the computer and not in person, but I'm sure that will change soon. And you live in LA, right?
Actually, I live in San Luis Obispo, which is a stone's throw from LA. Yeah, I've been up here for a couple of years now.
Nice. Okay.
My girlfriend and I live up here. It's just so lovely, and I love the fact that it's a little quieter than LA. I lived in LA almost 20 years.
I've hit my 20th year. I can see why people want to move.
Yeah, what happened was excuse me, I was introduced to my girlfriend, and she lived up here, and I started spending more time up here, and eventually I was like, I think I've moved here.
Yeah. It sometimes just happens, I guess.
Yeah, it
So.
sort of happened organically that way. Yeah.
Hey, I love things that are organic, so that's perfect. Speaking of which, because I have all these flowers behind me, which, by the way, these are fake. I don't know if you can tell. But it looks real, so I love it. It's a nice little backdrop.
Yes.
So anyways, thank you so much, Camden. Everybody, Camden Toy. And again, this is Mimosas with Michael. You can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play. I mean, if there's a platform for a podcast, we're on it. So, and mimosaswithmichael.com. Everybody, again, Camden Toy. Thank you very much, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.